This is Will Aubrey coming to you from Applebee's. Time for another edition of This Weekend Laker Football with head coach Mickey Garrison. And Coach, you got kind of got the season underway last night. It wasn't an official game, but you had the scrimmage against Crittenden County. Tell us how that went.
Well, I know our guys were very, very eager as well as the coaches. We've been beating up on one another. Are we good?
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be all right.
All right. Been beating up on each other for it seemed like 4 or 5 months now. So to finally get an opponent come in and line up, full pads and get after it, our guys did well. We've already had a lot work out this morning. Looked at the huddle video, and so we're getting prepared for Ohio County. But the Crittenden scrimmage was a big success.
Okay, talk a little bit about your team and the way they played position by position last night. And everything starts with the line, so let's talk first about the offensive and defensive lines.
One thing that stands out to me just watching last night and looking back on film, well, I just feel like we're a lot stronger this year physically. Our guys pretty much handled nerves, breakdowns and things that you're going to expect in the first week or two. But when we clean that up, I just feel like there's going to be so much more consistency there. And so, all the way up and down, we've got Kobe Culver. He's the center, and then he can play any of the 5 positions on the line. Gunnar Smith came in and did a great job at center as well. Josh Effinger, and a lot of these guys, again, going both ways. Josh Effinger, both offensively and defensively on the line, just a fantastic presence and very physical. And on the defensive side of things, got after their quarterback. I think had 2 or 3 sacks. And so he did an outstanding job. Christian Harris, who's a junior this year, one of the many that's just dedicated themselves in the weight room, and you can really tell the difference. And so just coming up off the ball, a lot more confidence. We've got Colton Cox, who is a sophomore this year. He's a defensive standout last year as a freshman, but now just couldn't deny it, getting him on the other side of the ball as well. So we have him playing guard and doing an outstanding job there. And then we have some depth there as well. Gage Phillips does a fantastic job. He's one of our seniors. A lot is going to be expected of him on both sides of the ball. And so I want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. But I was very proud of that, of their efforts on the line, and then defensively as well. And Michael Behrens is with us this year. He's a senior. He is a huge addition. He starts defensive end for us. And Colton Cox is on the other side as a defensive end. And so defensively, we got after it yesterday and kept them out of the end zone. Obviously that's that's probably the biggest challenge that you have. One of the goals you set as a defense, don't let them score. It's going to be hard for a team to get you if they don't get in the end zone. And so our guys rose to that challenge, and we achieved that goal by not letting them score. And so that's the line, and then we can go on from there.
Well, last year you had Cole Stetson at quarterback, and obviously people graduate. It's time to move on. Talk about your quarterbacks this season.
Jacob Bella, who is he's been getting playing time ever since he was a freshman. He actually played a little quarterback as a freshman, but just early on, as we were looking at some of our options, he stood out, and he's gotten the most reps at this point. So he's our junior leader on the field, one of our captains. He'll be our quarterback this year. And one of the things that Cole Stetson had is his skill sets and his strengths. One of the things that Jacob Bella brings is he's dual threat every time he has the ball. And so obviously some plays are designed for that. Got a lot of read option things that we can do now, and with Cody Orr and Darius Stribling, splitting the ball in the backfield and being able to get runs and keep fresh legs. Jacob Bella running that, it looked really good last night, and very proud of what we're seeing at this point. He's come a long way.
Now, with the change, have you altered your scheme as far as the run-pass mix? Last year you were probably, maybe 55-45%. How would you say it breaks down this year?
Well, definitely a lot more balance. Anytime you're going to have success on the ground, there's just a lot more consistency, a lot more stability there, things you can do with time management, and it just wears the defense down. So I think our offensive line this year being stronger, us being able to do the things we can, with Bella as quarterback, and then with our running back situation, we bring Jeremiah Malone. He's our slot back at H, but we can bring him in motion and give him the ball on the ground as well. So I feel really good about the consistency we can get there with balancing it in the air and on the ground.
Okay. And move on now and talk about your running backs.
All right. Cody comes back as our junior this year. Last year he started the year in the backfield, and then when he moved to the slide, and again he's one of those guys that can play any of the skill sets, offensively. So he's back there, and Darius Stribling, who finished the season last year in the backfield, looked really strong last night, and established a good ground attack last night. So we feel very confident with both of them getting the ball, sharing it, trying to keep fresh legs as much as possible. And it's a pretty good situation when you have both of that kind of caliber of players that, you have two of them at that one position.
Stribling's a sophomore.
Stribling is a sophomore, and again, he's grown a ton in this off season, and so we're expecting big things.
So you've got a lot of room for growth in the backfield as well, because those guys are young.
Right. And what we do lose is we go down the line and we talk about, I already mentioned Jeremiah Malone, of course, one of our senior captains. Chandler Kane is our Y. We'll line him up tight some, and so he's just a bruiser back that can he can catch, he can block, and do it on one of our leaders on both sides of the ball. So we do lose a lot of leadership in those areas, but we are very excited about the younger guys coming up.
Okay. And talk about your wide receivers.
Okay. I think I mentioned all of them going up and down. We have Kevin Robertson back as a junior this year. He had a lot of success last year, and so he's just a year stronger and faster and smarter, and is focused on a lot as far as just getting precise routes and getting timing down with Jacob. And so we've got things stretched out pretty good. And then you have to throw Jordan Norsworthy in there. It's going to be hard for a defense to just try to take one side of the field or one player out when we've got athletes spread out all over.
Okay. On the defensive side, we've talked about the defensive line, so let's move on and discuss the linebackers.
Okay. I don't know if I mentioned Trey Daniel, another one of our seniors coming back this year. He and Gage and Effinger are kind of our three-man rotation there at defensive tackle. Trey had an outstanding game last night as well, so we're excited about him stepping up this year in his senior year. At our linebackers, you've got Culver in the middle. He'll be our Mike linebacker there in the middle, calling the shots and kind of organizing the communication there. You have Chandler Kane at the other linebacker. Ben Young is our will linebacker, really very similar in our scheme to what the strong safety will come up and do as well. He's someone that he has just worked so hard in the weight room and strength and speed training and stuff. He's one that we can have cover corner if we need to, or linebacker. And then a strong safety, we have Norsworthy who comes up. Bella's our free safety. And then Cody Cody at our corner. And then Jeremiah, our other corner, and then Darius comes in and helps as well.
Okay, all right. Overall, I thought last year your defense had a pretty good year, and you all made great strides. But aside from wins and losses and statistics and all of that, the thing that I thought that you brought to the team more than anything else last year was just a new outlook, and it was so refreshing, and everybody all of a sudden seemed upbeat again. And then the banquet at the end of last season was fantastic. So I guess the challenge is carrying all that positive, encouraging momentum forward into this season.
Right, and we had a great senior group last year. It's tough to replace guys like Stetson and Friedrich and Oregon and all these guys, and we're going to miss them. But trust me, we've got a big chunk of our personality right back, and plus a year. It's a fun group. Sometimes it's hard to contain it. There's a lot of energy. They're just football players, and they love it, and they put in the time and all the things that they've done in this off season and then in this summer, dealing with this heat and doing things to prepare and put ourselves in this situation. I don't think it's going to be any problem carrying that kind of attitude over in the confidence level. As far as where we're starting this season, I can't even compare it to where we were last year. The guys are very confident and upbeat and just eager to get started.
If you look at this year's schedule, just in terms of traveling, it's a favorable schedule. You don't have to make any really long trips. The furthest trips that you got are to the Madisonville area. That's not bad at all.
Right. And the way it played out last year, ending the season on the road with 4 straight away games, from a mental standpoint was very difficult, and I feel like we did well. But yeah, we flipped that this year, and so we finished the year with 4 at home, and we get Hopkinsville at home this year, and of course going down the road to Madisonville, that's going to be we know it's going to be a huge challenge. We know that they've improved this year as well, and so that was one of those battles that went our way, but we know it's going to be very tough. I mean, we're ready. We start with 2 at home, and then we hit the road, and we're just going to take it. You know, we got 10 individual seasons throughout this year, and every week, you know, it's a new week. We got new challenges, and we'll stay focused and make the most of it.
Talk about how you've tweaked the schemes for this season. How will you be different? Let's just start with the offense.
Okay. And just like we mentioned before, you know, we've got such a huge group of the skill set guys, and the line is just more consistent this year. We lost Oregon, Adam Groves, but besides that, we've got everyone back. And so it's just a year of maturity, and when you can establish something on the ground the way we're feeling like we can this year, and Jacob at quarterback, and it just adds a wrinkle that gives the defenses a whole lot more that they have to account for and prepare for. So I just feel like we're going to have more consistency. You know, last year there were times when we put ourselves in bad field position. Special teams is another big area that we've improved in this year, and I'll talk some more about that later. But I'm just excited about what our offense can do, and that's just going to help our defense. You know, as far as just having time on the sideline some, even though a lot of these guys go both ways, we've got a scheme where we can move guys around and try to keep fresh legs in there. And I think this defense this year is even going to be more physical and get after it.
You mentioned the read option earlier. I take it that's something that you're going to incorporate more this year than you did last year.
Right, and that's just that's something that's in our playbook. It's something that we tried some last year, but this year I feel like we've got the personnel to really capitalize on that more. And as the season goes on, every week there will be different wrinkles and things that we can do with it. But we're very excited about it.
Okay, you think that anybody who's been around high school football for a while knows that these things run in trends. For a while, one offense will be trendy and everybody's going to be running in it, and then suddenly something else comes along. The read option is one of the latest trends. Is it something that you think more schools are going to start running as time goes by?
Well, as you see teams that get smaller and more athletic. Obviously, if you got a team that can smash it on the line and line up with a fullback and double tight or whatever, that's just kind of an attitude and personality thing. I can't believe that we would do that if we felt like that was our strength. But with the personnel that we have, very similar to some of the teams in this area, that is something that you do see more of. And when you have a quarterback and the skill set guys that we have, it just makes sense.
Okay. You mentioned the special teams. Talk about that.
All right. Ian Clark is a freshman this year and has come in, and he's one of these guys. Probably could compare him if we went back in time and looked at Garrett Schwetman, where he started and where he ended up with. I feel like he's somebody that's just going to get stronger and better. Right now is our field goal kicker. He's just dead aim. Garrett Lovett holds the snap, and Dylan Bell went to camps this year and is our long snap center. And so just up and down the line, we feel like we're a lot better. Last year we had some lapses, had some breakdowns special teams wise, so we put a lot more emphasis on it this year. And he's only going to get better. But just recently we got Christian Adams and Christian Bobo, who are standouts on the soccer team. They came out and got some reps this week, and they were able to get some good reps last night on the field in the scrimmage. And it's just huge what they can do as far as field position and on kickoffs and extra points and punt.
What are they doing for you specifically?
Well, right now, the kickoffs is the main thing. If you have somebody who can just pound it to the end zone, they start at the 20. you look at the odds and the percentages there, how much more difficult it is for an offense to score like that. And then I guess I would be remiss, and I'd be in a lot of trouble if I didn't mention that Kobe Culver is smashing the ball as a punter. So I'm sure he's back here somewhere listening. But and he's another one that can long snap do and just do it all. But Kobe was punting well last night. Right now we have him back there punting. And so we have options there, and we feel really good about it. Of course, you have Jeremiah Malone on the other side when we're returning the ball. And Cody Orr is back there, and we got different ones and young guys coming up. We feel good about our special teams this year.
I want to talk about Dylan Bell, your long snapper, because it's a position that gets overlooked. If you talk about special teams, people will talk about the kick returners, they'll talk about the punters, they'll talk about the kickers. Long snapper, that's a position where if you're good at that, you can actually get a college scholarship to go play as a long snapper.
Absolutely. There's probably a lot more longevity, and when you go up to the higher levels, being the long snapper, that's just one of those skill sets that it's not easy. It is something that takes a ton of repetition, and you got to have certain characteristics about you. Dylan is one of our sophomore up-and-coming linemen, and so we're going to be hearing a lot more about him other than just as our long snapper. But like you said, that is a huge responsibility, and we're proud of all of our guys, that is from our center to our long snappers and so forth. They put in a lot of work and reps, and we feel really confident with it.
Now, he went to camps to work on that skill?
Yes, he did. And along with, and Ian Clark went to, kicking camps and so forth. So these are guys that are taking those positions very seriously. We know as far as, if that's something that we can trust, and it just gives you a lot more confidence of what you can do in certain situations in the game, whether we need to, punt the ball deep, or, if we want to, put the offense deep into their territory or whatever. When you've got that snap, and then in the field goal and extra point, you got the snap, hold, and kick down, and we're blocking up front. Those are things that, in the course of the game, at the end, it really adds up.
Okay. Moving on to the defense, I know that you think that, you said earlier that your guys are even tougher than they were last year. They're stronger. Any change as far as the scheme?
No, not really. Again, all of this stuff has been in our playbook, and we still have the similar route trees and formations, but just what we can do as far as digging deeper into, especially the running element of our playbook and what we can do there, what we can do with Chandler Kane and bringing it in tight and doing things. We just want to give a lot of different looks, and then when we start seeing things that we have success with, then that's something we're bound to get more with during the course of the game.
Take a minute and talk about the guys on your staff this year.
Okay. I can't say enough about them. I'll start with Jacob Toney. He's our offensive coordinator. He coaches our O-line, has an outstanding reputation as an offensive line coach, but he's also our assistant coach. He's really the guy that, next to me, if I go down, I don't know if a head coach ever goes down or not, but he would be the guy next up that we would just go to him, and he's been coaching for a long, long time. He knows the ins and outs, and just as far as an organizational standpoint, too, someone that I really go to. Next to him, you have Jared Linke, who coaches our quarterbacks and wide receivers, and just an outstanding mind as far as the offensive schemes and seeing the field, knowing our talent, and knowing what we can do to put ourselves in good situations offensively. On the defensive side, Mitch Ryan is back this year. He's our defensive coordinator, and he also coaches our D-line. And then Tony Ryan, who's also back this year and coaches our defensive backs up. And very fortunate this year to have Coach Thorell, who's spent time coaching at Murray State, went to UNLV and coached there. Actually coached at Auburn. He's even coached some at the professional level. And his family is planted here in Murray, so we are so fortunate to have him on board. Just what he brings to our defense, and I think we saw it last night, really establishing some of that stability and things that he can do, even just from a individual skill set, teaching our linebackers certain things. So we're very excited there. Will Houghton and Larry Watkins and Jamichael Williams are three that come in when they can and can help us out and just help us a ton, especially when we get into our JV and freshman part of our schedule. Give us some depth there as far as our coaching staff, but we can't say enough about those guys. And even going down the line, talking about our middle school staff and even our little league, we've got a lot of guys that, they just devote this time, and it's volunteer time, and we're very excited about our middle school and little league things as well. Josh Smith is heading up our little league this year. Sean Thompson, head coach at the middle school, and very excited. I have a lot of confidence in the coaches that we have coming in helping us out.
And a lot of them with Callaway County backgrounds, former Lakers. Lakers for life, let's put it that way.
Just about every one of them. And, yeah, that's something else to be said, too. Guys that go beyond just, wanting wins and losses, but care about the community and these guys, and they know the parents and they know the schools. So there's a lot to be said for that, too, a lot of stability there.
You were talking about Coach Terrell, and I remember when he was at Murray State. Now, my memory isn't good enough that I can remember for certain who the head coach was.
Right.
I want to say Coach Panunzio was the head coach, but I'm not 100% sure about
We've
that.
actually talked about that, and I don't want to. We threw a lot of names out there, but yeah, he was in there for a short amount of time. I think actually Tony Ryan was coached by him. I think he was one of the safeties at that point.
Yeah, that would have been when Coach Panunzio was there. But that's what I thought, because I remember Joe talking about Coach Terrell, and mad scientist was the description
Well,
that he used.
we seem to have several of
Evidently,
those on staff, but he is absolutely someone just to sit in there and learning so much from him. Of course, he's coached many years and at higher levels, so we're very, very fortunate to have him on board. Very excited, and it's just a good setup for this year. We've talked about our schedule, and things are lining up. So I think Laker fans can get excited about this. We're definitely going to continue to put in the hard work, and I think they're going to be proud of what they see on Friday night.
Now, you've got your JV program, your middle school Little League programs, those kind of things. When do they get started?
Actually, already got middle school games in. They played Graves County, played well last week, last Tuesday. This Monday, we have our first JV home game. Fort Campbell comes into town. That's something that on schedule was originally away, but they had to change that. So a home game with our JV. We're very excited about that. John Foster's a guy. He came in fourth quarter. We got some of our JV guys in. He's a freshman quarterback. We are very excited about him and all these young guys that are around him. So you'll be able to see that Monday night at Callaway starting at 6:30.
All right, this coming Friday, you get the regular season underway as Ohio County makes the trek to Callaway. Now, last year, you played Ohio County up there, and they beat you 25-20. Their quarterback, Heath Simmons, threw for 285 yards. He's back, but his top two receivers are gone, and their leading rusher in that game is gone. So it looks like a game where, I'm sure that they'll probably go into it, since they beat you last year, thinking we can win this. But it ought to be a game that you guys go into thinking, hey, we got this.
Right. And we went into the game last year, obviously, like we got that, and we saw how things turned out. Had several breakdowns there, and it being, my first season, our first game of the year, and a long trip. And no excuses really, but going in this year, they've lost a lot of seniors, and like you said, they're thin in places. But when you got a strong quarterback that's coming back, and they've got a couple of big senior linemen that return, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder too to prove that it wasn't a fluke last year. They rebounded from a bad couple of seasons, had a good season last year, so they're going to try to capitalize on that. But once again, I don't think there's any doubt in our guys' minds when we take care of business in our end. We know who we are, and we bring that we have a lot of confidence, and we're going to be focused. We're not looking forward to anything. We know that first game is huge. And so Ohio County getting the victory there is going to be very big for us.
Now, have you started preparing specifically for them yet, or will you wait till the first of the week?
No, actually, we're very fortunate that at least defensively we saw a lot of things with Crittenden that we'll see specifically with Ohio County. So although we prepared for Crittenden for that scrimmage, we were also already preparing for Ohio. So very specifically, we really start breaking that film down with the guys starting Monday and looking at that, and we'll get their personnel down, kind of get an idea of who's where, what we feel like their strengths will be, and we'll be ready.
Outstanding. I know as the season goes on, obviously, you have some other big games coming up, but one thing about Laker Nation, they turn out and they support the team, and I've always been very impressed by that over the last, my goodness, 21 years. And so we want to see the stands filled with red this coming Friday.
Absolutely, and again, we've had up and down seasons in our history, like every program does. But I just want to urge people that in the past haven't been coming, maybe you've been listening to it on radio or just not sure. That you don't even have to be a football fan. If you love Callaway County, come out and support these guys. Once again, I think everybody that saw it last night, I think, see the immense improvements that these guys have taken with a year, under their belt and a year stronger. So come out this Friday night. Let's start the season off right. Fill up the stands and around the track, and let's just bring a ton of red in and a lot of attitude. Start out with a big win.
Is there any particular thing that will be key to getting a victory on Friday?
I think just cleaning up 2 or 3 things that we looked at even this morning when we watched our film from last night. Just coming in and getting focused, being consistent, finishing plays, following through on blocks, and a lot of things that really just coming from watching yourself and being honest, seeing that on film after that first game. And these are guys that have a lot of pride. They want to have one another's respect and earn that. So I think we'll see all the way around on both sides of the ball. Some things will be cleaned up, and they'll come out and be game ready Friday.
We want to invite people to come out for the Coaches Show on Saturdays. It will be here at Applebee's at 11:30 every Saturday. We've got a good crowd this morning, and we've always had good crowds in the past. And everybody has a good time, and the good folks here at Applebee's are very hospitable.
It is outstanding. We have a great crowd today. Can't say enough about our parents. I want to give a plug to our Touchdown Club, just the incredible work that they do. Jeff Ford is our president, and just can't say enough. Again, we've got a lot of great things going on. Want people to get involved and just be a part of it.
Outstanding. I do want to let everybody know that we will be on the air 20 minutes before kickoff for each game. Tune in on 89.7. And if you don't have a radio or you would rather use your phone, you can use TuneIn. That's an app that I'm sure all the kids know about that people have on their phones. And just search for 89.7 FM or search for WAAJ, and that'll pop up for you, and you can listen that way. And we start 20 minutes before kickoff of each football game, and that way, we'll be able to bring people up to date on what's going on before the game, and we'll give them a chance to hear your interview, the pregame interviews, and you can tell them exactly how it's going to turn out.
That's right. I got all kinds of predictions. We can't say enough in thanking this radio station for covering us, and appreciate them and want to support them too. So, everybody tune in if you can. If you can't come to the game, tune in to the radio station and be a part of it.
And I also want to tell everybody about MurraySports.net. My wife takes pictures. We put them up there. And so, you can tune in, see pictures of the players, pictures of the coaches, the fans, and, we'll try to put a little more stuff, maybe some highlight videos and things like that up, reports on the games this year. So.
That is awesome.
All right. Well, that brings this edition of This Week in Laker Football to a close. You've been listening to Laker Athletics on 89.7.